Bunghole vibrations.
Bunghole vibrations.
Bunghole vibrations. Your sphincter will move like this, and the speaker will pick it up. It'll be like words.
Words. Hello, and we are the Brothers Geek. My name is Patrick Schmaltz, with my two brothers, Christopher Schmaltz. Hello, Christopher.
What?
Yeah.
What? Hello?
Hello. And Andrew Schmaltz. Hello, Andrew.
Hi.
We're too busy having so much fun on our own.
Yes.
The stuff that doesn't get recorded, our mother.
Oh, I just recorded that whole bunghole conversation. So
the whole bunghole vibration.
That's it. Write it down, Andrew. Bunghole vibration.
Bunghole vibrations.
Just play that at my funeral. How about that?
Bunghole vibrations at your funeral. We're brothers. We're geeks. We talk about geeky things. I look like I'm in somewhere else because I am. We're recording this on what is this? What month is this?
September 29th.
September 29th. Wow.
2022.
I don't even know where the hell I am. I'm in a different place in a different time. I'm in Vancouver, Canada. Hannah's shooting a television show here. I am taking care of little Nova while she is a badass boss bitch. And I am.
You're talking about your partner as a badass boss bitch.
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
No, yeah. Well, they both are. Nova will be eventually, I guess, but Hannah currently is.
When Nova gets bigger, is she going to be like Big Nova? You call her Little Nova right now, and she's like 12. Are you going to be like, hey, Big Nova?
Probably, if she's like a large person. Tiny. Currently, she's a tiny person, so
she is an infant.
I am hoping that like Nova is like a giant Valkyrie woman who is like tall and like takes after Norwegian roots and is taller than me. I would love that. I think would be hilarious. Yeah.
The Valkyrie in the Dresden books are supreme badass. So that I would love to see that.
You know, that's a good callback, Christopher, to like long time ago. You remember when we used to do Seen Read Played and I was reading the Dresden books? I fell off of those. Oh
my god.
I
read the first one, and I didn't even. I don't think I got to I got 80% through the first one, and I couldn't.
You couldn't feel it.
The first person narration, I'm just not a fan of it. I don't really get down a lot of books to the first person.
You're just. Why do I waste my time? Why do I waste my time talking to you?
Relations, that's why.
Because
waste my time talking to you about this unbelievably high quality shit. Because you say, oh, they're just not feeling it. Oh my god, Dresden Files are freaking incredible.
Okay, well, I feel like I got to give it a second shot.
That TV show is trash.
Aha.
Yeah.
But there's always rumors, and it is ripe to be made into a show. That series is incredible. Incredible.
Did they wrap it up? What's his name say he's going to write like 20 books?
Yeah, he's wrapping it up with a trilogy, and I think we're waiting on the first of the trilogy, the wrap-up.
Okay.
Let me see.
Yeah. For the listeners, I can't recommend that series. Read Jim Butcher's Dresden Files series.
Still to this day, Butcher was when he was at Phoenix Comic-Con, 4 or 5 years ago, he's still one of the best panelists I've ever seen.
He's awesome.
He was so good, so engaged.
You sound like 10 pounds of shit in a 2-pound bag.
Not want to actually engage with their stuff anymore.
Yep.
I mean, because we've encountered panelists like that. Like, I don't like you enough that I'm not even going to try to read your shit. I'm not going to go out of my way to read your books.
Yeah.
And his name was Robert Jordan. Like my mouth. I still to this day don't read Jordan's stuff.
Dude, I mean, the first couple of Wheel of Time books are really good, and I sort of fell off of that because there's like a billion of them, and they're like all brutal long. But man, those are good. But like every story you've told me about Robert Jordan, like you guys experienced this without me, makes me like sad. It makes me sad to think about those books.
He's one of the worst panelists I've ever seen at Comic-Con.
Yeah,
easily. Yeah.
That sucks.
Do you remember?
He was so condescending. It was rough.
Yeah.
But that series is incredible also. So and Brandon Sanderson finishes it, and he captures Jordan's voice. I mean, perfectly. They are incredible.
Have you read?
It's like Jordan was writing them. He is so good at that.
Have you read The Mistborn, Christopher?
I read the first one. Yeah.
Is it good?
I love Mistborn.
Yeah, it is good.
I feel like I should give that a shot too. I got a couple of Audible credits.
I need to give it a shot.
You know what book I'm reading right now on Audible, Christopher? I guess listening to is the Dragons of Winter's Autumn or something. What is it called? It's the first
Winter Twilight.
It's the first Dragonlance book.
Dragons of Autumn Twilight.
It's pretty fun.
It's kind of.
It's not great. It's not great, but it is pretty fun. Dragons of Autumn Twilight.
The Dragonlance books, I devoured those in high school.
Yeah. I mean, for anybody who doesn't know, the Dragonlance books are like basically the universe that the Dungeons and Dragons universe takes place in. The old Dungeons and Dragons. What are they call, like all the current. Yeah, all the advanced D&D stuff takes place in the Dragonlit universe. So there's
Forgotten Realms.
Forgotten Realms. That's right. So speaking of books,
speaking of high fantasy.
So we are continuing our mild. Our tepid takes on House of the Dragon. This is tepid takes. We're gonna talk about episode 6. Spoilers ahead. We're recording this on September 29th, so we've had a couple of days to think about it. And this is episode 179. So you're curious. Okay, so we're talking about episode.
A Hot D episode is
titled, House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragon episode is titled The Princess and the Queen.
Obviously, this whole episode is about their struggle and what has been happening. They're catching us up over 10 years of a flash forward. Things have only gotten further between them. They started off this, it's like amazing to think about, like they started out the series like as best friends, and then politics has like really gotten in the way of their friendship, and like her father marrying her has really like screwed up their relationship, and now I want to say this to start off without like discussing anything more of, do you guys get the feeling that the show wants us to root for Rhaenyra, but she's kind of making a lot of mistakes and like doing things that are bad, quote unquote bad, because like it's like she has done this to herself, really. I guess that's sort of like the age old like question in anything is like if the protagonist is like their own worst enemy, because she's like having sex with people and having kids with them that are not hers, not the king's, or not her husband's, excuse me. And so like there's this whole like conflict between her and the queen over the legitimacy of her children, and that's causing this big problem.
It's causing this big problem because in Westeros society. These are bastards. They're not trueborns.
Yes.
And it's to Alicent's, the queen's, rejection of these children comes from, she starts from, her whole life has been about her duty. It was imposed upon her by her father, Otto, the Hand of the King, former Hand of the King, and she has been doing her duty her entire adult life. She married the king out of duty. She doesn't love him. She's bearing his children out of duty. She's raising these children really out of duty. One of the most telling scenes of the whole episode for me is she is having that moment where she's struggling to relate to her daughter, Rhaenyra Targaryen, and her daughter is a bit off. She's very focused on.
I caught something, and I was curious about this only because I've seen artwork of. What's the second brother's name? The one that walks in on them having the conversation. The one who doesn't have a dragon yet.
The oldest son of Alicent and Viserys is Aegon II.
He didn't walk in. The next one is...
Yeah, Aemond.
Aemon walks in, and then she says something about him losing an eye. Doesn't he lose an eye?
Well, here's the other thing. But just, you're jumping ahead a little bit. But
yeah.
Rhaenyra Targaryen, the weird little girl who was playing with her bugs that the mother was struggling to relate to.
Yes.
She's trying to be a beautiful mother to, but hopefully she loves her children. But it's all about duty for her.
I think she's struggling a little bit to relate to all of them, if we're honest, because there's a scene that comes up later that is...
But yes. The thing about Rhaenyra Targaryen is she has prophetic dreams.
So she knows he's going to lose an eye.
She's a little bit touched that way.
Yes.
So if Rhaenyra in the book, the source material, Fire and Blood, has prophetic dreams. So is she having prophetic dreams about her brother losing an eye?
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
And that's how she's communicating it.
It's just like this interesting little one-liner that I know that guy ends up, like, I've seen artwork of him as an old...
One eye.
Yeah.
Aim in one eye. So, and to circle back around...
Sorry if that's spoilers for later, but I think they wanted you to see something there.
They definitely do. Alicent's whole life has been about duty, and Rhaenyra, she has this inherent sense of duty because she's the heir and she's been given knowledge of the prophecy, but she kind of does what she wants. She has secret lovers that she has children with. She probably never consummated her relationship to her prince consort Rhaenyra.
Yeah,
Valerian.
Their relationship is Their relationship is fascinating.
That family dynamic, when it actually works, like everybody buys.
He he cares about her. Like they care about each other. It seems like he's very and he loves these children that she's making with what is his name? Harwin Strong?
Harwin Strong.
Yeah. So
he says he views them. He says in the episode, "I want to be with my kids."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? He views them as the family, right?
Right.
And so he has that sort of I mean, I agree that it's not just a thing of convenience. He clearly views it as a family.
Right.
And the sort of realities of it that people recognize, it's only an issue if people ultimately have evidence and call it out publicly.
Right. Well, and then the whole shame factor too is to call into question the legitimacy of children that are due to be royalty, to be running the world. It is really a power struggle when it comes out of that. The whole hand waving at these people only have power because people believe they have power. If you start to shake that tree a little bit, things fall apart, and the queen is shaking the tree a little bit.
Let's not get too far ahead of. I mean, there is a 10-year time jump, but the way that they establish this new actor playing Rhaenyra Targaryen, Emma D'Arcy, who identifies as non-binary, so we're going to refer to them as they, them. They are playing Rhaenyra as a mother of 3 at this point, and the very first scene of the episode, to solidify them as the new Rhaenyra, the character is giving birth to the youngest, Joffrey, and immediately the queen
triggered by that name. By the way, I would imagine, yeah.
Immediately demanding Rhaenyra present this child to her.
She knows. She knows what's up. She's checking. She knows what's going on. But
getting out of childbirth bed and having to trudge through the Red Keep, the queen's summoning to present this baby, this newborn pink wad to the queen. It's so cruel, and it lets you know exactly where those two characters are at.
Yeah, you want the baby to come. I don't want the baby to leave my sight. I just gave birth. Fuck you. I'm gonna get out of bed and walk this baby myself. You asshole. Like that's where it's become like that petty, you know.
Well, Alicent's calling it all into question because for her, in her mind, the children it's very blatantly Harwin Strong's. There are it's no way.
Right.
Like,
she knows.
It's such a totally. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. The king won't let anybody talk about it. He has blinders onto it. He's like, "This is my job."
Okay, so
anybody who falls in an infraction is basically committing treason.
So if you break it, and you know, I don't want to get off the rails too much, but like freaking the king looks like trash right now. Jesus Christ, like he is straight up rotting away. That guy, like. What is the deal?
It's very sick.
Yeah, dude.
Slowly dying. Yeah.
Have you seen there's a theory online, and there's some credence to it that the Maesters have been poisoning and keeping Viserys sick for decades.
Oh wow.
Like the leeching and like the fact that he really can't heal.
To what end?
Weaken him, to keep, like, they don't want him to die, but they want a weak king that they can manipulate and keep on the throne and kind of push the way that they want. Because if he dies, Rhaenyra will inherit. They'll either be open warfare or she'll be a much stronger monarch than her husband, than her father. So there's this theory out there in the world that the Maesters are keeping him sick.
Oh, fascinating.
Right?
I always think, you know, I'm always fascinated by groups of scholars, and in Game of Thrones, like even in my Dungeons and Dragons games, I have like multiple groups of scholars that have different ends, and I feel like knowledge is kind of this scary thing in our own history about like the Catholic Church trying to control knowledge up until they started mass producing books, and then regular people started reading and learning to read, and it's sort of like the control of information is huge in this kind of environment. And I think the Maesters are definitely like not immune to the power struggle. They're not immune to the control and you know, and manipulation. And educated people who know more are going to use that for their own means. They're going to use that for their own ends. So,
they're supposed to be a servant class, but they are absolutely
they have
their own agenda. They have their own focus.
They have their own agenda, and like the thing about like educated people in a society of idiots, uneducated people, is they know more than everyone. Like they've read the histories and they know information that others don't, and so
That's comforting until you're consumed in the dragon fire.
Until you're consumed by dragonfire. Well, I mean, okay, yeah, go ahead.
You use that knowledge to. It only works if you are
You don't get caught.
right. So I don't give a whole lot of credence to the. I mean, there's for sure trying to influence,
Yeah.
but I don't give credence to the conspiracy theory that they're poisoning the king because what is their motivation for killing but keeping him alive? I mean, his character is what it is. He is non-confrontational, and so why wouldn't they heal him to keep him alive if the status quo is what they want?
Right.
Doesn't
Well,
make any sense.
there's
What is he's already weak and already viewed as weak, and
right.
so him being sickly and wasting away doesn't benefit anyone. I don't understand that theory. So.
I don't really. There has to be some kind of definitely established motive for that theory to work because, like you said, they haven't established that in the show. But I could see it being a thing. But I have. There's sort of a theme throughout all this where the Iron Throne and the kingdom is sort of rotting him away. Like he's cut his finger on the throne, and that finger is one that's lost, and his arm is like gone now. Like, and
Arm is fully rotted off.
yeah, and there's been a theme throughout this. Not so subtly. I don't know if I'm the only one who's noticed this, but rats are everywhere. And there's a rat on the skull. There's a rat drinking the blood after the wedding. There's a rat that runs across his. So it's sort of like this idea of rotting and pestilence and like disease is in the kingdom. The kingdom is diseased.
The decay of the house. I mean,
The decay of the house. Right.
The whole theme of this, and
You're
so
right.
they are subtle and not subtle
Yes.
about those themes by sprinkling in the rats, his wasting away, and all of that.
Right. The decay of the house sort of is because they're the infighting because they can't there's been so many. There's always gonna it's fascinating because like the Game of Thrones is sort of like all these different houses want power and there's nothing in their way but other people. And this is like the Targaryens. No one is out to kill the Targaryens, but they're going to kill themselves because it's like no one wants to fuck with the dragons, right? And so it's like they are their own worst enemy. They have allowed themselves to marry into other houses that have other means. Like Viserys is like this weak king, but that doesn't stop Alicent from doing her own shit. She's realized that she's a queen and has power because she can control him a little bit. And
She's doing her utmost to control him in this episode.
And she's smart. She's smart. She's Otto Hightower's kid, and he was smart. So it's sort of, I don't know. Go ahead, Andrew.
No, she's doing everything she can to influence him without directly challenging Rhaenyra. Right. Rhaenyra, they get to the point in the small council meeting where they're sitting across from each other. They both have seats on the small council, Rhaenyra and Alicent. And Rhaenyra even proposes peace. She's like, let's betroth our children together. Let's try to bury this hatchet because you clearly are gunning for me. But
she hears footsteps. She hears footsteps behind.
She totally hears footsteps, but Rhaenyra tries to make peace, and Alicent doesn't want it. She's like,
right.
She is so stung with her betrayal and her lies and her need to protect herself and her kids.
Well, and pushing her father out too. I feel like there's a lot of little subtle things that have stacked against Rhaenyra and Alicent. Her pushing her father away, and her straight up lying to her face about like having sex, that night. I guess she didn't lie completely because she didn't have sex with Daemon, but this is like a couple episodes ago, by the way. But she lied about having sex with what's his face, Kristen Cole. So like Kristen Cole, man, he has turned, like, I really like that guy in the first few episodes. He has turned just like a scorned lover, who's turned like real nasty.
Toxic version of an ex-boyfriend.
Yes, just like so like, oh, you're gonna break up with me because like we used to love each other, and now I'm going to,
hate you for
hate you forever, like.
I want to solve this lens of stoicism these days, and I am baffled by Alicent and her. What is she trying to accomplish? And also, and baffled by Rhaenyra and her sort of choices as well. She's pragmatic in she's got to have children. So who's going to give me children? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think
Alicent is trying to sort of, I guess, keep her kids alive? Because she's been poisoned. Otto is poisoned in her head. That it's either or.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They don't see a path. They don't see a path forward of sort of mutual like coexistence of a future that doesn't involve this like weird tension and societal like civil war.
Yeah.
Over these issues, which really are not. I mean, it's a classical sort of examination of hubris driving and irrationality driving decision making, where nobody is sort of focused on what is the goal here and how do I achieve that. And Alicent seems to think she's trying to achieve something, and Rhaenyra too. But it's just it's a struggle for me because Alicent is so unlikable at this point in the show.
Right.
Well, this is what I got. This is what I was trying to get to the root of, and I was just saying this poorly in the beginning. Was who are we rooting for? There's nobody is really a great person. They're all got flaws. They're all gray area people. They all are like.
I don't need to root for anybody in this type of show.
Right.
I need to buy into and be interested in the struggle in general. Like if I'm entertained,
right,
and the themes and the character decisions make sense to me,
mm-hmm.
I'm not in a position where I don't need to be anyone's champion. I think the Targaryens are cool, and I like the way they look, and I wish I was a dragon rider. Absolutely, I think the Targaryens are cool, but like, I don't need to be a Targaryen like fanboy and want Rhaenyra to get everything she wants, because she's on the razor's edge all the time. I mean, she's lying to everyone in the world about how she's living her life, and everyone around her is at risk because of it.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of like, my question is like, Game of Thrones had the Starks and it had Dany Targaryen, who is like, for the most part, had noble aspirations. No one in this show is very noble or like honorable. I feel like it sort of turned this corner of like, they're all just doing what they can to stay alive and do what they want for their house and their families. And that could mean, and like even Daemon, who seemed like he was a villain, is just sort of like this wet blanket in this episode. And it's like, you can't.
I want to get into talking about Daemon too. Because
yeah, that whole storyline is going through like something weird over there. He's like struggling to find his place in the world.
This is my theory about that. Daemon, on some level, is heartbroken because he can't be with Rhaenyra, and he finds the next best thing.
Right.
Lena Valerian. Think about the specifics. She's beautiful. She's of Valerian blood. She's a dragon rider. She's from a formidable family. She has a strong personality.
And she's
That's a lot of-
she's riding Vagar, which is the largest, oldest dragon.
So she has a lot of qualities that I think Daemon saw in Rhaenyra. So he sees those in Lena, and he does his best to be like a good husband to her. But I don't know if he ever really he never loved her like he may love Rhaenyra. I think what we see in this episode is Daemon kind of in exile of himself, clearly not feeling like himself, not feeling like the king of this narrow sea, the commander of the King's Guard, the Prince of Flea Bottom, those things that he called himself and was called by others through these first few episodes. He is not that right now. What he is trying to do the best he can with the life that he is in, and he feels like he's got a bit of a consolation prize. I mean, Lena Valerian would be, she'd be, if not for Rhaenyra, she would be the most desirable woman in the Seven Kingdoms because of all the things we talked about. So he is struggling with the fact that he did not get what he really wants. And maybe going into the last few episodes of the season, he can get that back. I think that we see a sad Daemon because he can't be with Rhaenyra.
Well, and then his whole struggle of like to stay in Pentos, and just be part of this group, I guess, like
hired gun.
hired muscle, and Lena doesn't really want to do that. She's pregnant with another kid, and then there's a theme throughout this whole series is like women giving birth, and that's like a real struggle. It's just sort of the mother of Rhaenyra dies. Lena is going to die, or the baby's going to die, so she makes an ultimate choice to get turned into ash by Vagar.
I love how old and crusty Vagar looks.
You know what?
Like 300 years old at this point.
Okay, I love all the dragon designs. The show was missing one crucial shot that made me sad that it didn't see. Is I wanted to see a size comparison with Daemon's dragon and Vagar, like flying through the air right next to each other. There's a shot with them flying through the air right next to each other, and it's like all you needed is one pan out to see how big this dragon is compared to Daemon's, and I would have been satisfied, and I didn't get it. So it's sort of like it's hard to gauge scale when someone's sitting on the back of these giant beasts,
And before we finish, we got to talk about sort of what happens at the end, because that transforms the dynamics of power on the show. Because the strong guy orchestrates the murder of his father and his brother.
Right?
Yeah.
And he does it purely for leverage over the queen.
Yeah,
So
dude.
Alicent is now totally trapped.
Yep.
Because, and this goes back to the point I was making earlier, where she doesn't really have a clue what she's doing.
Yeah.
She's acting out of emotion and irrationality and fear, and the actions she's taking, and she don't trust anyone, and he is clearly a snake.
He's a snake.
What he has done is so ruthless.
Yes.
It's so ruthless, all purely driven by power.
Yes.
Now he has power. If he views her with power over the
She's
king.
she's an accessory. She's an accessory to the murder of the Hand of the King.
Right. She's screwed. She is.
She's screwed.
now
Yes.
Because
Only
she
way
is-
she'll be able to get herself out of it, she's got to push all of her chips into the table now.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I was curious. There's a lot of political intrigue in the past 3 episodes. I feel like we went through the last arc of the young kids, the young actors, and now we're like building back up 10 years later. But like the show is doing well. Is some political intrigue. It needs some. There's 10 episodes. And I will say, like, just looking forward, I would say the next couple are probably going to be like this end of Act 2 kind of, or rising action. They love to do kinds of stuff like that in 10 episodes series. So this is sort of like they're building towards something. And 7 and 8, I bet, are going to be like, there's got to be some crazy shit. Like, freaking Ned Stark gets beheaded at the end of episode 8 in
Episode 9. Episode 9.
No, it's 8, bro. It's the end of 8. He gets beheaded.
I think it's the end of 9. Anyway, but you're right. Yes, it's building to all hell's gonna break loose. That's
Okay,
what
we
the
gotta-
season is.
It's the episode where the king dies is the episode.
Right. So, and then shit is gonna shift.
flies.
Yeah.
That's when shit will fly.
Yes, things will come to a head when the king dies, and whether that's 7 or 8 is curious, like whether they're gonna push it or not. But
I'll say this about the source material, because I know that's the novella that this series so far has been based on. It's like 100 pages, 125 pages. They've covered basically 15 pages or 20 pages of the source material.
what? How long is this story?
The war, the Dance of Dragons, lasts for 3 or 4 years.
Well, okay, so
Incredibly bloody to the big houses that fight it. So there's all of this. They've been telling the story.
Obviously they're filling in some with extra shit, right? Like not all this detail is in the story.
Not at all. But the king dies in the first 3 pages of Dance with Dragons.
Wow.
Dance of Dragons. Literally at the end of the first 3 pages. There is very little characterization for Viserys at all. There's some characterization for Alicent before the king dies. There's some characterization for Rhaenyra before the king dies. But there's 100 pages of the actual civil war that is in the source material that we still have to...
So I mean, like, what you're talking about is like World War III. You know, it's like if everybody has nukes and they use them, then the whole world burns. So it's sort of, you know,
I'm gonna just leave you with this image.
There's like so many. Everybody's got nukes. It's not good. It's not going to be good.
Think about this. It was perfect. In this episode, we were in the dragon pit. The kids go in. They're hanging out with little dragons. Aemon doesn't have a dragon yet.
Yeah.
Think about where they are, and there's this huge structure the Targaryens have built to house their dragons in King's Landing.
Mm-hmm.
Think about 180 years later, the meeting that Cersei and Dany and Jon Snow have in the Dragon Pit to talk about an alliance and peace so they can fight the White Walkers. Those are happening in the same locations.
Yeah.
The Dragon Pit in Game of Thrones Season 7 is completely destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
That happens. The destruction of the Dragon Pit happens during the Dance with Dragons.
Is
During the war.
Is there anybody like I think I've read too much like fantasy or too much I've played too much D&D or something, but there's something just like I love about ruins, like just like an ancient like civilization that was like powerful, that like built this whole thing up, and then over the time just decayed and got destroyed, and like no one uses that. I love that stuff. I like the Colosseum in Rome. Just
and that's exactly what it is. And we're gonna get into it eventually later, but that's what actually is like tweaking me out about Rings of Power right now.
Oh yeah.
To see Numenor at its height.
Yeah, dude. Oh my god.
Years later, we see kind of the remnants of Numenor when the Fellowship are trying to cross, the continent to try to cross Middle Earth.
Yes.
We see like what's left.
We gotta talk about that at the end of this, because I have a lot to talk about that Game of Thrones show.
Rings of Power.
Keep writing down notes about that, because
show, by the way. So.
Oh no. Yeah.
I'm behind.
You're behind? Okay.
Yeah, I'm multiple episodes behind.
New episode tomorrow, dude. It gets better. It's kind of
Don't say anything. Just let him make a decision. But
I'm gonna watch it. I don't need your.
I am interested in Rings of Power for reasons than other people.
Okay. So is there anything about, just to wrap this up a little bit, because I want to talk about something else before we end? Is there anything else for House of the Dragon that you guys want to bring up?
Andrew's point is awesome. If you're not familiar with the. If you're not familiar with the underlying...
Siri was talking to me. Sorry.
If you're not familiar with the underlying source material, Andrew's point is huge, and that's why they're talking about 3 to 4 seasons.
3 to 4 seasons of this show. That's crazy.
The shit that happens after the king dies is really the heart of the show. So all of this is a prelude to choices that are made, and on multiple fronts, and then where the lines are drawn. So super interesting and exciting shit to come.
Yes, super. I just want to ask you guys real quick before just shift gears a little bit. Have you guys been watching Andor?
Yeah.
Okay. I fucking love that show.
It's a great show.
Jesus Christ. It's some of the best Star Wars I've ever seen. Okay, so we'll have to talk about that after we're done talking about House of the... Go watch Andor, because I freaking love it, bro.
Yeah,
I want to bring this up just because Ashton and I watched it, and I watched it for the first time before Andor started. Did you guys watch Star Wars Rebels?
Oh, just a little bit, not enough to get deep.
Give it another shot, Patrick. Rebels is great Star Wars.
Well, that's
great Star Wars.
Yeah,
I think you should give it another shot. I think you'll really enjoy it.
It's felt really kiddie to me. Felt really like
first season or two might be a little bit, but once it gets into it's great. It gets so deep and so. Yeah, it's great Star Wars. Watch Rebels, dude.
Well, I mean, there's so much, like, they've steered into it so much. There's so much overlap in the current stuff about Rebels. Like, they love to reference it. Like,
Age of the Rebellion is the stories they're choosing to tell right now.
Yeah, dude. No, it's so, dude.
It's great. I'm really into it.
Yeah, I can't wait until the next episode comes out. Anyways, cool. Email Andrew about trivia, kingofthenorth52@gmail.com. Help him with
final hot D episode will be a trivia extravaganza. There will be
10 questions. Oh my god, I love it. Yeah, email Andrew about that. Email the podcast, brothersgeekpodcast@gmail.com. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
What we need to do, actually, I just had this thought.
Okay. Maybe not.
Are you there?
Andrew froze up. I'm still good.
You guys are freezing. We're getting spikes. So
Yeah. So I have a thought that we should talk about, which is we should put every trivia question that we do at the end of the episode out on our Twitter feed. So
Okay,
Oh, I love this. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
I'm down.
Uh,
I'm down with that.
so you derailed me. Brothers Geek do stuff on Instagram. Our Twitter feed, brothers_geek at twitter.com, brothersgeek.com, Brothers Geek Schmaltz on YouTube. Watch us on YouTube. See our faces on YouTube.
Yeah, learn our different voices. I have people who tell me all the time. He's like, I think Patrick's talking, but you guys sound so alike, and it's hard for me to tell.
I mean, we are brothers. Should I just start talking like this to help the listeners figure out? Okay, great.
They'll stop listening.
They'll stop listening. Thanks for listening. I do accents. You know what I do when I do the D&D. I try to do accents. I always go back to Southern. What's wrong with me? Like it always. Every character shifts into Southern.
There's a whole list of things that we could. That'll be in the next episode. Is the things that are wrong with Patrick.
Oh,
Patrick,
It's gonna happen.
you
Great.
cheated
All
up.
right. Fire and blood.
Yep.
Thanks for listening, everybody.